Hi there, my name is Michelle. I'm the author at Hearthside Blog. I'm currently working on creating different posts based on previous blog entries, basically to make them more accessible to a larger range of people. So I am currently in the stuff from December last year, trying very hard to put myself into that mindset. Well, it's 30 degrees outside. Celsius, for those of you who are viewing from outside of Canada or places that don't use Celsius. So the one that I'm looking at right now is about celebrating Mother's Night, and for me, I like to celebrate Mother's Night on the eve of the winter solstice. Now, there are a few different places where scholars think that Mother's Night might be. If we look at Bede, then he is suggesting that it is being Christmas Eve. But often we see Mother's Night being celebrated either on Christmas Eve or the eve of the winter solstice. And not every heathen may celebrate this as well, so it just depends on what you feel is important in your hearth cult. I find that this is really powerful for me as a woman, because I see it as a celebration of female ancestors and the Disir. So you could think of it as being similar to the celebration of Distin and Disablot, which doesn't seem to have a set date within the sources. So some modern heathens celebrate both separately, Distin being somewhere the end of January to mid-February, or even later into March, closer to the spring equinox. Others might celebrate closer to October, and then where they see it as being Disablot being the same as Alpha Blot in some cases, although I would argue that those two are distinct from each other. The truth is that we as modern heathens don't agree on much about when holidays should be celebrated. Most of us agree that there are three major holidays that are in the lore, which is Sigerblot and Winter Nights and Yule. And often the addition of the fourth at midsummer to complete the spokes on that wheel is added, but there isn't really much about it in the sources. So it's up to the tribe or the hearth as to what days are celebrated and when. So for me, I think it makes sense in winter to celebrate ancestors because it's considered a common practice in many cultures throughout the Northern Hemisphere, associating the winter with the closeness to the realm of the dead. The wild hunt is passing through, so we have that aspect with the spirits, and also you're spending long winter nights around your hearth with your family, telling old stories, singing songs, reading books, playing games, crafting together in the long nights that go on at this time of year. So you're spending a lot of time in introspection, spending a lot of time remembering, and this is a great time for us to connect to our roots. Modern heathens who celebrate this holiday connect with their female lineage, but also may give offerings to Frigg as the mother of mothers. There are also many ways that you can connect with your female ancestors, and as a woman, I strongly suggest it, especially for other women. It's a very empowering experience to understand who you are and how you came to be. If you don't have an ancestor cult established, then this is the perfect opportunity to start building one. And if your ancestor culture if your ancestor cult has already been well established, then it's also a great time to strengthen it. So now is a good time to build bonds of reciprocity with your ancestors, in this case the Disir, by engaging in the gifting cycle. And one practice that I personally find to be very powerful for me is to just sit and have a cup of tea with them, just as if they were sitting right there. So much happened historically over a cup of tea. So many things were told between family members. So it might seem silly at first, but you can really build a connection that way. Tell them about your family now, about your life, about major events that have happened since you've last spoken to them, and ask for advice, just as you would if you were sitting with your grandmother having a cup of tea. So if you don't know what direction to take next in a major event in your life, this is the perfect time to ask for some guidance. They are your family, and they have a certain amount of stake in your well-being. It's quite often easier to approach your ancestors with a problem within your personal life than it is the gods, because they have more reason to help you. So establishing your ancestor cult can be done through meditation, through trance, especially if you are not, if you didn't know them in life. And like, I can suggest this book, Ancestral Medicine, can be helpful with you if you're not sure where to start. There's a lot of other good ones out there as well. That's just one. It gives you some different ways to try to connect with them and reach out to them. And then, of course, the same as with most heathen practice, engaging in a gifting cycle. That's how you make those connections. So that's a little bit about what I would do during this time. I don't like to really get into exactly what my rites entail, just a few little tidbits that might help you out, and really you should make this yours. So I hope that you think about that for the next Mother's Night coming up, and consider what you can do to celebrate the Disir in your own lineage. Alright, I'll see you next time.